Great, welcome back. This month, our KPRC2 Community Spotlight is on children's literacy. So this morning, we're speaking with the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation about children's literacy and a common problem that many families face this time of year, summer learning loss. We are joined by President and CEO of the foundation, Julie Finck. Thank you, Julie, for being here.
Thank you, Sophia.
Okay, so we were just talking about this. It's summer learning loss is real. It affects children. Kids are coming off of the school year and they're tired, right? They want a break.
They do, but it's important to keep creating those routines at home that extend learning and mitigate learning loss. Research shows that children can lose as much as 3 months of reading learning and 1 month of math over the summer months. So it's critically important. I mean, it is a real phenomenon, and it impacts children in dramatic ways.
Okay, so are more kids, would you say, susceptible to learning than other children?
Children in low-income families, as well as English language learners, are ones that are particularly more susceptible to learning loss. Children of upper and middle income families tend to be able to mitigate that learning loss by taking kids places, whether it's the museums or the library or places. So they're finding ways to mitigate the gap, but also there's barriers to access, not just to the resources for low-income communities, is that a lot of them don't have books in the home, which is a challenge because you have to have those resources to be able to practice and keep those skills up.
Right, exactly. Okay, so learning loss, we're talking about when they get to school in August and September, they're really behind as well?
And a lot of educators tend to utilize the first part of the school year to refresh and remind kids of what they covered in the prior year.
And make sure they kind of know and remember.
And they're catching them. So that is instructional time, that if kids would keep on pace with their learning over the summer, that teachers could truncate that sort of refresher at the beginning of the year and start learning new and addressing new content for the kids.
We were talking about how challenging it is, not only as parents to, get your kids to read a book because of the video games and the TV, and it's so hot right now during the day to go outside.
Or raining.
Exactly, during our summers here in the Houston area. So how do we face that challenge and help prevent summer learning loss?
There are a lot of distractions, and what we really need to do, and sometimes when children aren't motivated, they don't have the intrinsic motivators to read. As parents, sometimes we have to come in and create external motivators. So creating reward systems, acknowledging and praising them for put a journal, create a list of books that they want to read, make it visible and have them keep a journal. Talk to them about what they're reading. How about sharing and reading the same book together and talking about it together? It's always great too if you can get your kids to, if they find a book that's part of a series, is having them continue to read that series and build that excitement around it. And obviously there are other children in your neighborhood, so try to get some of your kids' friends together and have them choose a book to read and to host them and make it a fun little event to talk about what they're reading.
Right, it's actually a lot of fun. My 12-year-old and I did that with like an urban legend book, and so we were talking about it, and it was just, you also connect, as a family in that way too.
Absolutely, reading that's a great byproduct of reading together is creating those bonds with your children.
So you were talking earlier about access to actual physical books, and a lot of families don't have that many books or even any books in the home, you were saying. So tell us about the Literacy Foundation and how it's helping for kids to have access to books.
Well, first, as in Harris County, we're very fortunate. We're one of the only cities that have both a county public library system and a Houston public library system. So, but not every community has a public library, and again, parents have different work schedules and they may not have access to the hours of the library. And so one of the things that we are doing is in 2017 we started a program called My Home Library, where we are empowering children, particularly underserved children in communities, with their own home library. So in April and May of this year alone, we gifted 16,000 children their very own home library just in time for the summer. And so providing them that access to books, and research shows when children have access to books in the home, home, they're more likely, of course, to read it from cover to cover and enjoy it, and of course become lifelong learners, because it's all about access and then the practicing of those skills.
And would you say, even if, we've got 30 books and I've read all 30 as a child and I love every single one and I remember each story, like the back of my hand, it's still just great for children to continue to read the same books that they love.
Especially for younger kids, especially those pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, is continue to reading. It's about reading. It's about practicing the skills. It's okay. You don't have to read a new book every night. Yeah. And finding that love. It's finding those special moments and creating those book moments.
And when sometimes if my 7-year-old gets tired, she said, "Mom, you read this now," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll read it." And then she's like, "Actually, give it back," because you love reading, you don't want to push too hard, but then they do come around, they want to read, they want to join in on it. It's fun. It's fun when the parents are doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
With them.
And children are also visiting their grandparents for the summer or visiting other relatives, and so don't just make it in your whole household. Talk about it as a family, that time that's set aside in your home also needs to transfer when they go and visit grandma or grandpa.
Yes. Okay, what about Camp Adventure, Julie? What is Camp Adventure?
Camp Adventure has been a wonderful summer-based program that we've had in partnership with Children's Museum Houston. And so we've been going into communities across Houston, and particularly in 5th Ward and 3rd Ward over the last 9 years. This year we'll also be in the 2nd Ward on the East End, providing free 2-week summer learning programs. A lot of it's around hands-on STEM activities that are tied and connected to meaningful books. Kids get to build their own home library. In fact, I was there over at Hester House in 5th Ward on Tuesday. Children were creating their own solar oven and going out into the sunshine. Yes, there was sunshine on Tuesday, and made their own s'mores. But learning about science and connecting that with reading and creating those opportunities for them to make it joyful and fun.
Right.
And that's really what we need to be doing more of, not just in school, but in the home, talking about reading, making it fun for kids.
And sparking that interest,
Absolutely.
right, for science and STEM and different topics, and that's just so fun. My 7-year-old wanted to make like a lip gloss, so she's like, "I need to melt crayons and I need coconut oil," and I'm like, no, we're not going to melt crayons in the microwave. But it's like kind of that science experiment type passion that you get from books.
And the one good thing about technology is that parents can access a lot of those activities to do with their kids. So pulling them off the device, tuning into a good book, but also being mindful of being an active, engaged participant in your child's learning and success is so critically important.
It's so important. Okay, Julie, where can people learn more about Camp Adventure, about the Literacy Foundation, about all the great work that you guys are doing?
We invite everybody to visit our website, barbarabushhouston.org. We also have a little summer learning page, I think, that we'll promote as well, that has some recommended reads for the summer for your children of different ages to get them excited about it. If you don't really know what their interests are and you want to help guide them, we're happy to do that. But we also have other programs that they can get involved in and learn more about.
All right, Julie Finck, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sophia.
It's always a great time to see you. All right, and if you head to clicktohouston.com/community, you can find a list of activities to help your kids stay active with reading over the summer as well. We'll be right back after this break.